life. Get a Zuku decoder today and not miss daily mass, worship and prayers, news bulletins, and so much more on Luntha TV, bringing wisdom into your home.
You are watching Luntha television and it's time for news. My name is Helbert Katanda. First, let's have a look at our top stories. Catholic Church leader Pope Francis announces he will write apostolic exhortation dedicated to children. Public Affairs Committee calls on government to action as it commits to addressing reported concerns. Malawi Electoral Commission declares supplementary voter registration a success. And in news from elsewhere, Uganda begins Ebola vaccine trial after new outbreak. We have these and more other stories to stay tuned then. The Catholic Church leader, Pope Francis, received a long round of applause at the Vatican summit on Monday after announcing that he intends to make children the theme of a new papal document. Titled Love Them and Protect Them, the summit, with public and private sector leaders from around the world, includes panels on the child's rights to resources, to education, to food and healthy care, to family, to free time, and to live free from violence. Speaking in the Vatican's Clementine Hall, the Holy Father said to give the continuity to this commitment and promote it throughout the Church, he plans to prepare a letter and an exhortation dedicated to children. Tandiwe Mzumara, reading a Vatican News report.
Pope Francis and leaders from around the world are meeting at the Vatican this week to discuss the rights of children, including the smallest and most defenseless children, the unborn. The Pontiff opened the two-day summit on 3rd February with a reflection on the many ways children are oppressed today, including living through war, poverty, as undocumented migrants, and without access to adequate food, education, and health care. In his address to prominent leaders in the private and public sectors, he also highlighted how children are harmed through abortion, promoted by a throwaway culture of waste and profit in which everything is bought and sold without respect or care for life, especially when that life is small and defenseless. Speaking in the Vatican's Clementine Hall, Pope Francis also drew attention Monday to his concern that young people themselves, a sign of hope, are struggling to find hope in today's world. Pope Francis also spoke about the growing phenomenon in immigration of unaccompanied minors, including the undocumented, children at the border of the United States, those first victims of that exodus of despair and hope made by the thousands of people coming from the South towards the United States of America, and many others.
The Public Affairs Committee has told government that it needs to take into account that Malawians are not looking for a word of mouth, but actions that will accompany their commitment on the promises they make. In an interview after meeting the State Vice President, Dr. Michael Usi, on Tuesday, PAC spokesperson Bishop Guilford Matonga revealed that their meeting was a follow-up on their engagement with the State President, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, last month. According to Bishop Matonga, the Vice President has been delegated by the leader of the nation to address the challenges that were raised by the committee. Rashida Matandiga reports.
According to Public Affairs Committee spokesperson Bishop Guilford Matonga, their meeting with the State Vice President Dr. Michael Osi was in response to the call by the second citizen of the country on his powers as the Minister of the newly established Ministry of State Affairs. The Vice President is said to have notified the committee that he has been delegated to look into all the concerns that PAG, in their meeting with the State President, delivered on issues that are affecting Malawians. In their concerns, PAG had told the President that the country has lost direction and most of government's commitments are not being met. In today's meeting, the Vice President is reported to have renewed government's commitment to solving major challenges that are affecting the country, with fuel and fertilizer procurement being on the priority list. In their response on everything that was discussed and the promises made by the Vice President, PAG has asked the government to deliver their promises through actions and not just a word of mouth.
Well, in brief, that the president has delegated the vice to address the matters at hand, like issues to do with the fuel procurement, issues to do with fertilizer procurement, as we had indicated in our letter, our statement that we had raised with the president, issues of general service delivery in the civil service, and the gaps that are there at OPC, and ensuring that all the parastatals are functioning well. These are some of the things that the Vice President alluded to. But he also said that terms of reference will be shared of the new responsibilities that he has, and that connects as well to the things that we had raised with the president in our meeting area this year. So I was saying he is also meeting other equally important stakeholders to map a way forward on the matters that are affecting the nation at the moment.
All right. So what's your impression after the meeting?
Well, firstly, Public Affairs Committee did communicate to the Vice President that Malawians are looking for actions on the issues that we had raised.
The Public Affairs Committee hopes that government will tackle the issues before getting busy with elections matters. Rashida Matantika, Luntha TV, Lilongwe.
The Malawi Electoral Commission has described as successful the supplementary voter registration exercise, which took place from January 21st to February 3rd, 2025. MEC spokesperson Sangwan Maflira noted that all registration centers operated smoothly, eliminating the need to extend the registration period. The exercise was held in all parts of the country, with the aim of providing an opportunity to people that did not register during the actual registration period due to national identification cards matter. Charity Jilanga with the details.
Mafrera expressed satisfaction with the exercise, noting that it allowed individuals to complete their registration process. Among other things, he stated that the Commission will begin compiling the voter register, removing duplicates, preparing for voter inspection, and opening a transfer window. The transfer window for voter registration will open later this month, according to the Malawi Electoral Commission, with the intention of providing an opportunity for individuals who have moved from their original registration locations or who anticipate being in a different place on September 16th, 2025.
Satisfied with how it has been conducted. We managed to run all the centers as scheduled, so there is no center that had downtime warranting us to extend the voter registration period that we are provided for. We are also glad that we provided an opportunity for everyone who started the registration exercise, starting with registration with the NRB when we are conducting voter registration. Then we provided them an opportunity to register now. Having concluded this exercise, now the way forward is for us to compile the voters register, bring all the details together.
The supplementary voter registration targeted over 271,000 eligible individuals across 1,974 centers who applied for national IDs with the National Registration Bureau (NRB), but could not register with the MAC due to delays in receiving their unique national identification number. The process was carried out in compliance with a High Court order addressing challenges faced by eligible voters who were unable to register in the initial phases due to issues with national IDs. The supplementary voter registration was conducted in 3 phases. Phase 1 took place on January 21st and 22nd, covering Mbeera, Mzimba, Lilongwe, Lilongwe City, Mangochi Municipality, Mwanza, Chikwawa and Nsanje councils. Phase 2 occurred on January 27th and 28th, covering Katabi, Rumpi, Likoma, Kasungu Municipality, Dowa, Mchinji, Nchewu, Zomba City, Blantyre City, Cholo and Luchenza councils. The last phase took place on February 2nd and 3rd, covering Jitipa, Karonga Town, Mzuzu City, Nkhotakota, Nchisi, Salima, Dedza, Balaka, Machinga, Chiradzulu, Neno, Palombe and Mulanje councils.
Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority continues to face backlash over its decision to purchase an integrated system machine aimed at monitoring social media for misinformation, which is worthy $1.5 million, approximately 3 billion kwacha. Organizations and social media users are of the view that the move has come at an ill time. Recently, some concerned citizens under the banner The People Power Movement threatened to hold vigils and protest next week should Makra pay a deaf ear to their grievances. Emmanuel Chuocha reports.
The protest stemmed from concern over the prioritization of this project amidst Malawi's current hardships. The movement chairperson, Olivia Nakoma, has articulated their stance, highlighting that the nation is grappling with numerous pressing issues that requires attention and resources, making the expenditure of the surveillance system inappropriate. In an interview with Luntha television, Nakoma publicly urged Makra to disclose detailed information regarding the procurement plan, including its specific goal, budget allocation, and the decision-making process behind it. He urged that the surveillance initiative may threaten the fundamental right, despite Makra's assurance that monitoring will be conducted without infringing on free speech.
It is true, and it is bearing our signatures, I and Comrade Kambanje, which is a testimony that repatriates from concerned citizens of Malawi, and we have offered it. The reason why we have offered the letter is that we tried to reach Makra to ask them about what they are implementing on the spy machine. We call it spy machine because there is a lack of explanation of what this machine is all about. So as Malawians are fast approaching elections on 16th September 2025, we are afraid that the government might be installing some machines that will be preventing people from discussing issues freely. So we wrote to Makra to explain, and they haven't explained. So going by this, we have planned demonstrations both in Blantyre and in Lilongwe. Today we're dropping a letter to the DP of Blantyre, notifying him of our intentions to conduct the demonstrations as well as vigils at the Makra offices. The reason why we want to do these vigils and the demonstrations is that we want Makra to explain, and also to stop the procurement of such a machine, because in this country we have a lot of problems. You can testify that up to now there are long queues in a few stations, and this problem has not been solved for 4 months. Again, we are facing hunger in Malawi. If you go in the villages, you'll see a lot of people starving. So we feel it is not a good time to procure such a machine. So after writing Makra.
However, Makra has assured citizens that the machine will not infringe on freedom of expression, but will instead monitor public social media interface with platforms like Facebook and Twitter. The movement seeks to bring to light the the implications of macroplans and emphasized that the introduction of such surveillance system does not align with the current needs of Malawians. For Luntha News, this is Emmanuel Juocha.
You are still watching news on Luntha Television, coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center in Area 2, Lilongwe. My name is Helbert Katanda. Do stick around as we'll be back shortly after the break.
Are you passing through Desert Town and you think of finding a place to rest or just to have some nice food? Always keep this name in your mind. Comfort Lodge. Situated in Airfield at Desert Town. Here at Comfort Lodge, we offer comfortable, affordable and quality accommodation. The place is located at a very quiet environment that gives you a comfortable and peaceful sleep. We also offer local food such as mademba, masambote ndela, chisoso, ndi ndo zina za lokolo zambiri. Talking of entertainment, that's not an issue as we have a DSTV for your favorite channels. Tight security, electricity and water backups are all in place just for you dear customers. During this time of COVID-19, we have all measures in place just for your safety. Oh yes, come and taste a different feel of life here at Comfort Lodge in the town. Comfort Lodge. Comfort Lodge, your number one place for affordable and quality accommodation.
Welcome back. Now let's have a look at our top stories once more before we proceed. Catholic Church leader Pope Francis announces he will write apostolic exhortation dedicated to children. Public Affairs Committee calls on government to action as it commits to addressing reported concerns. Malawi Electoral Commission declares supplementary voter registration a success. And in news from elsewhere, Uganda begins Ebola vaccine trial after new outbreak. Moving on, civil society organizations under the banner of National Advocacy Platform want funds in government agriculture flagship projects to be transferred to National Economic Empowerment Fund, saying the organization has through its fertilizer loans shown impact to farmers. Speaking at a press conference in Lilongwe on Tuesday, on the group's chairperson, Robert Mkwezaramba, told journalists that their drumming of support for NIF follows their assessment of the fertilizer loan program since last year. This comes at a time when CSOs want government to drop affordable input program and claimed that it has not been effective since its introduction in 2020. Robert Edward reports.
The civil society organizations went around the country between December 21st last year until yesterday to assess fertilizer loan distribution exercise by the National Economic Empowerment Fund (NEF) and got amused with the process, describing it as a transparent and beneficial to farmers. Addressing journalists after their assessment, the CSOs under the banner National Advocacy Platform (NAP) learned that NEF has dispersed fertilizer on loan arrangements to 32,000 farmers across the country, and despite the fact that out of the 150 billion kwacha allocated for the program, NEF has only seen 45 billion kwacha absorption, translating to the 32,000 farmers out of the targeted 400,000. The CSOs, whose presser was chaired by Robert Nkwezalambo on Tuesday, still expressed satisfaction with the program.
We are now receiving the appropriate rains now. We feel it's timely, as opposed to some areas where we would like to encourage them, and we manage to speak to the groupings to say, can you venture into irrigation farming, because perhaps the fertilizers came late. So it was a successful program. It's still going on, but based on the assessment we did, we are satisfied that some progress is being made towards food sufficiency in the country.
The CSO's amusement with NEF has informed their demand for the government to just abolish both Affordable Input Program, AIP, and mega farms and channeled the funds to NEF, saying NEF's program is the one working compared to the two flagships. Taking turns during the placer, the organization justified its independence from government influence, but confirmed that NEF was responsible for the CSO's logistics during the assessment.
Social commentator Lakembewe has urged well-wishers and the Ministry of Higher Education to intervene and settle the students' fees following the freezing of donor funds by the American President Donald Trump. Trump announced last month that America will cease its donations to various countries, paving way for audit. This forced the United States-funded organization USAID to halt its operations in 3 universities in Malawi. Therefore, Mbewe says there is need for a proper address on the matter to ensure that the students are bailed out. Fales Chizombe reports.
Commenting on the matter, social commentator Lakembewe noted that the Trump effect has devastated Malawi, particularly for individuals working on USAID projects who now face joblessness. Mbewe expressed concern for the futures of students who relied on USAID funding, urging well-wishers and the Ministry of Higher Education to intervene and help cover the students' school fees. He stated that it is not the students' fault that they cannot be able to settle their tuition fees, hence calling on government to come through to their aid. He stated that it is not the students' fault that they cannot be able to settle their tuition fees, hence calling on government to come through to their aid. He stated that it is not long ago that some students has hanged themselves before due to failure of finding alternatives to pay for their higher education, and government should act quick to avoid losing lives.
I think it's time now that the government must actually seriously consider coming in to support the needed students that have been affected by the stop order of the USAID government funds to Malawi. Ought to complete their education, because it's not their own making. It's the situation that has just gone out of hand as a result of the leadership in the U.S. So let's not allow the students to suffer, because what has happened is not actually their own making. It's circumstantial. Therefore, I would like to appeal to the Ministry of Higher Education to come in quickly and address the problem, because without necessary intervention on this matter would result into, many of those students resulting into, serious decisions because of hopelessness. So let us say situations that have happened before where some students have actually hanged themselves or committed suicide because they have no hope and they have no choice in that regard.
The donation freeze during Trump's administration has created a ripple effect on Malawi's economy, which is already struggling with significant challenges. Malawi's economic growth has been subpar, with real GDP projected to increase by only 1.8% in 2024. The country is also facing debt distress, making the need for non-debit or high concentration financing increasingly important. Malawi's economic growth has been subpar, with real GDP projected to increase by only 1.8% in 2024. The country is also facing debt distress, making the need for non-debit or highly concessional financing increasingly important. For Luntha News, this is Fales Chizombe.
Approximately 10 primary schools in Lilongwe are said to benefit from the Educans Foundation Education Project, which will introduce continuous professional development programs for teachers and provide solar-powered electricity. This initiative is part of the Harnessing the Sun for Improved Learning Outcomes and Sustainable Development project. At a stakeholders meeting in Doha on Monday, Educans Foundation team leader Thomas Kanjodo highlighted the negative impact of electricity shortages on schools. Bridget Monoka reports.
To improve education quality and boost learning outcomes in Malawi, the Educans Foundation's Education Development Project EDP aims to overcome two key challenges in primary schools: limited teacher development and the absence of electricity. The foundation's team leader, Thomas Gamjodo, says lack of electricity in most primary schools significantly affects learning hours and students' performance. He said without proper lighting and power, learners struggle to study, digital learning opportunities are limited, and teachers lack modern teaching aids.
Yeah, so one of the things in terms of the learning outcomes, I think one of the measure is to see how many learners continue with their education in terms of completion rate. The other measure is in terms of dropout rate. We would want to see that the learners, they don't drop out from our education systems. And the third thing is in terms of achievement rate, to ensure that the learners, they do pass.
Associate Professor Joshua Valeta, Director of Open Distance and E-Learning in the Ministry of Education, expressed confidence that the project will improve education standards.
We do expect significant improvement in the schools that are being targeted, in this case 10 schools in the Lilongwe West District or Education District. What we are also very excited about is the fact that they are bringing in power. It's a sustainable, renewable power. The solar is going to transform the schools and make the schools innovation ready. That's exciting, because then you are talking about many areas and many pathways of improving education, from the learner side of things, the teacher side of things, but also improving the environment and make it more climate.
Beyond improving learning outcomes for over 12,000 learners, the project also promotes sustainable development through green education, school gardening, and tree planting. These activities aim to mitigate the effects of climate change while ensuring schools have a reliable energy source. With these interventions, the EDP project seeks to create a more conducive learning environment where both teachers and students are equipped with the necessary tools of success. The initiative is expected to set a precedent for future education reforms in Malawi's rural schools. Bridget Manoka, Luntha News.
Now in news from elsewhere, Uganda has launched a trial of their vaccine against Sudan strain of Ebola virus following an outbreak in the country with 3 confirmed cases. The first patient, a 32-year-old nurse, died last week. On Monday, the initial participant in the trial, who is currently in isolation, received a dose of the trial vaccine, which was developed by the International AIDS Vaccine Initiative, a global non-profit organization. We have the details.
There is currently no approved vaccine for the Sudan strain of Ebola. One does exist, however, for the Zaire strain, which has been prevalent in the past in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. The Sudan Ebola virus is severe, killing at least 40% of those infected in past outbreaks, according to the World Health Organization, WHO. Uganda is currently experiencing its 6th outbreak of the disease. 40 contacts with the first victim of this outbreak will be vaccinated in this phase of the rollout jointly conducted with the WHO, it said in a statement on Monday. Uganda's health ministry has confirmed 234 contacts as listed for monitoring.
And that's the news for now, but before we go, a reminder of our top stories. Catholic Church leader Pope Francis announces he will write apostolic exhortation dedicated to children. Public Affairs Committee calls on government to action as it commits to addressing reported concerns. Malawi Electoral Commission declares supplementary voter registration a success. And in news from elsewhere, Uganda begins Ebola vaccine trial after new outbreak. My name is Helbert Katanda. Thanks for watching, and it's goodbye for now.